Shalom. Peace and salutations to you, rod of iron. First, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. This is your brother, Matthias, with another message of daily edification brought to you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Peace and salutations to the elect. This message comes to you today in good spirits. I pray that you're edified and that your life is enriched through the nectar of the scriptures. Once again, it's a pleasure for me to sit with you, and I pray that this message finds you in good health and in good spirits. Today, I want us to open our minds. This is going to challenge you because it's challenged me, and there's a lot that we can learn from our big brother and master Yahweh Shai, and this is one of those lessons that is going to challenge you. So just prepare yourself. All right. So a lot of things that are going on in our lives right now, you might not want to hear this, but it's your fault. It's our fault. So if Yahweh Shai, all right, who is King Solomon in the reincarnation or regeneration, whichever you want to call it, if he had to learn from his past mistakes throughout his lifetimes, because we do know that Yahweh Shai was also Adam. We know that he was Isaac. We know that he was Melchizedek, and then he was King Solomon, and then he was Yahweh Shai. So if he had to learn from his mistakes to become who he is, no servant is greater than his master. All right. So we're going to begin reading in the book of the Epistle of Hebrews, and we are going to be moving around. I pray that I can get this message across to you in a clear manner, as always, so that you could be edified. But we go line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, on the Rod of Iron station, family. So just prepare yourselves and get your shovels and your pickaxes so we can get this work in. All right. So, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the Hamashiach. Let us begin. Hebrews chapter 5, starting at verse 5. So also, Yahweh Shai Hamashiach glorified not himself to be made an high priest, but he that said unto him, Thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. As he said also in another place, Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. All right. Verse 7. Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared. All right. It's talking about Yahweh Shai. All right. Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared. That's Yahweh Shai. All right. He cried unto the Father. Why did he cry? Because he had been rejected. All right. The same way we're rejected now. But we're being brought back into the fold. But he had to suffer, and we're going to find out why. Look at verse 8. Though he were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered. Yahweh Shai had to suffer throughout his lifetimes to get it straight. And this is the Son of the Most High. All right. So I know you're asking yourself, what did he do? How did he end up there? Well, let's find out, shall we? Let's go to go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. I want to show you a little something in there. 2 Samuel chapter 7. I'll begin at verse 12. This is the prophet Nathan speaking to David, Solomon's father. This is what he told him. He says, David, when your days be fulfilled and you shall sleep with your fathers, meaning when you die, the Most High says, I will set up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. This is talking about King Solomon. Verse 13, he shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. This is what the father said about King Solomon. He said his kingdom is never going to end. It's going to continue throughout eternity with Solomon. Solomon ain't going nowhere no matter what he does. And if he messes up, I'm going to punish him myself. All right, verse 15. But mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. Verse 16. And thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David. So he told King David, no matter what Solomon does, if he screws up, I'm going to get him. That's what Yahweh said. There's no way for Solomon to screw up to where I'm not going to be with him, because it's going to end with him. This is going to be the eternal kingdom. All right. And it's going to be established through the Davidic bloodline. King David was Solomon's father. We got that, right? So let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11. We're going to find out what King Solomon did. Now, I told you that King Solomon is Adam in the reincarnation. He began as Adam. That's why the word says he became flesh and dwelt among us. Solomon had many lifetimes. Let's prove it, right? 1 Kings 11, starting at verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods. That's what he told. All right. That's what the Most High told him back then. He told Solomon not to do it. But look what it says. Solomon clave to these in love. Now, it wasn't that King Solomon had these women and everything. The Most High didn't care about him having, concubines and all that. The Most High don't care about that. But it's the fact that he clave to them in love. That's where he messed up. Now, I want to prove to you that King Solomon always had trouble with women. All right. Let's just skip to Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 just for a moment, and then we're going to pop back to 1 Kings chapter 11. All right. Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, and it reads, Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Now that's Adam. Did y'all hear that? Adam clave to Eve, Solomon clave to these women. We all know what happened when he clave to Eve. Eve led him off into biting after the serpent. Same thing here. Solomon clave to these in love. All right. This is Eve getting Adam all over again. Verse 3. Let's prove it. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. Same way Eve did Adam, these women did to Solomon. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father. David had women. David just didn't let these women turn his heart away from the Most High. Verse 5. For For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. So it wasn't the women that the Most High had a problem with. It was Solomon's relationship with the women that he had a problem with. They turned his heart away. The same way Adam's heart was turned away from the Most High in the garden is the same way King Solomon's heart was turned away from the Most High when he ruled over Israel. And because sin fell upon all men, so that all men have sinned in the garden with Adam, so did all sin fall upon the nation of Israel through Solomon, because his heart was turned away. You get it? Let's prove it. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 7. Then did Solomon build a high place for Shamash, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. Now Solomon is going off completely. Now this is Yahushua, all right? The prototype of the Savior, going off, going into dark magic, doing all manner of wickedness and evil that he knew better, all right? Verse 8. And likewise did he for all his strange wives which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. Verse 10. And had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Now here's the bad thing. King Solomon was the wisest man to ever live. Ecclesiasticus, Wisdom of Solomon. Solomon wrote his ass off. When it came to giving advice, there was none greater than Solomon. When Solomon told you something, you could take it to the bank. Certified funds, it'll cash that day. No waiting period. But the problem with Solomon was he couldn't follow his own advice. Ain't that how it is a lot of times? The people that give the best advice are the ones that need it the most. I'm going to leave that right there. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 11. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and I will give it to thy servant. So the Most High already said in 2 Samuel chapter 7, that if Solomon screws this up, I'm going to punish him. And here he is, getting ready to do it. He won't quit. Verse 12. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. So the Most High is already making the decree that Solomon is not going to be punished in this lifetime. He's going to be punished in the next. Verse 13. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite, who was of the king's seed in Edom. So these are the Edomites, the Arabs. It's not the white man. Sorry, y'all. Verse 15. For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom. See, David didn't play with these damn Arabs, man. Look what he did. Verse 16. For 6 months did Joab, which was David's military commander, for 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel in the land of Edom. All right. Until he had cut off every male in Edom. So David set up garrisons all throughout Edomite territory, and they were slaughtering them day and night. David hated the Edomites. He hated them. Verse 17. That Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. You can read about Hadad in the book of Jasher, chapter 90. We just went over that. Verse 18, 1 Kings chapter 11. And they arose out of Midian, and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt, unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, which gave him an house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes the queen. And the sister of Tahpenes bare him Genubath, whose son whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house. And Genubath was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. So now here's the Edomites mixing with the Egyptians. All right. This is what the Edomites did, but it is not the white man. All right. These are the Arabs. 21. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, David passed away, and that Joab, the captain of the host, was dead. That was the one that was slaughtering his people. Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, that I may go to my own country. It's safe for him to come back now. Verse 22. Then Pharaoh said unto him, but what hast thou lacked with me, that behold, thou seekest to go to thy own country? And he answered, nothing, howbeit let me go anyway. And the Most High stirred him up and another adversary, Rezin, the son of Eliadah, which fled from his lord Hadadezer, king of Zobah. And he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a band, when David slew them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus, and dwelt therein, and reigned in Damascus. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, beside the mischief that Hadad did. And he abhorred Israel, and reigned over Syria. Verse 26. And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zerida, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Milo, and repaired the breaches of the city of David his father. And the men of Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. That's the northern kingdom now. And it came to pass at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah, a Shilonite, found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and the two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him, and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. So the prophecy is coming to pass. He said as Solomon went off, then the kingdom was going to be taken, but he was going to save a portion for David's sake. So this is the northern kingdom getting ready to be split. Verse 32. But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, which is the southern kingdom, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. Because that they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Shamash, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in my eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father. Verse 34, howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for David my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my commandments and statutes. So it's for David's sake that the Most High keeps his word, because David was faithful. He was just a man of bloodshed, just like the father. 35, but I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes. All right. 36, and unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen to put my name there. So when Yahweh and Yahushua come back, he's going to put his name in Jerusalem. That's the city. 37, and I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thy soul desireth, and shalt be king over Israel. 38, and it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and will walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. He's going to give Israel to Solomon. All right. Look at verse 39. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. So Solomon is already stamped and put in forward motion his affliction to come for what he's done already. The Most High promised that he was going to be beaten with the rod of men and chastised if he ever went off, and he just went off. Verse 40. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt unto Shishak, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. So he hid out. And the rest of the acts of Solomon and all that he did and his wisdom are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? And the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. All right. So King Solomon, through his disobedience, he led Israel to ruin. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 3, starting at verse 1. It says, they say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith the Lord. The damage was done. They were idol worshippers now, thanks to Solomon. And there was no fixing this. Let's drop down to verse 7. And I said, after she had done all these things, turn thou unto me, but she returned not. And her treacherous sister Judah saw it. The northern kingdom went off, and now the southern kingdom was going off. And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, thanks to King Solomon, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also. All right, so the damage was done. Because of Solomon, the kingdom split, and he had to pay. It was all his fault. It was all his fault. All right. So, what happens now? The kingdom is split, and the only one that can fix it is the one that messed it up. So he had to come back as Yahushua to pay for the sins of all of Israel, because it was him that led us astray in the first place. Let's go to Matthew chapter 7, starting at verse 1. Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thy own eye? How can you tell and instruct other people when you not right? Verse 4. Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thy own eye? Thou hypocrite. This is what he learned. This is Yahushua. Red letter. Red letter. Verse 5, Matthew chapter 7. You hypocrite. First cast out the beam out of your own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. Do you get it? That's what he learned. He learned obedience through the things that he suffered. All right? He learned obedience through the things that he suffered. Even the Apostle Paul taps on this. Romans chapter 2, verse 22. Thou that sayest a man should not commit adultery, dost thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest idols, do you commit sacrilege? Thou that makest boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonorest thou God? Do you? Do you do what you say? Do you say what you mean? Do you? You know, Yahushua had to learn obedience to the things that he suffered. And he cried out to the Father Yahweh when he was being tortured and punished. Is that what you're doing now? Are you crying out to him? Are you whining? We all do it, starting with me. But you know what? Got to come up from that. It's your fault. Whatever's going on in your life, some kind of way you are implicated. There's something that you're doing. Albert Einstein, that swagger jacking, culture vulture Jewish ass. Y'all know before I give him any credit, I got to piss on him. I got to. All right? Fuck Albert Einstein on one end. But he did say one thing that was useful. He said insanity is doing the same thing the same way over and over and over again and expecting different results. That's insanity. And guess what? It's true. The bastard had a point. Your life is the way it is because of something that you're doing. I don't know what that is. I mean, do you speak up when you should shut up? Do you shut up when you should speak up? Are you slow at taking care of business? Are you somebody that lets people continuously run you over and think they're going to change? Do you put a stop to things when you have the opportunity? Do you fear what people think if you say certain things? I mean, there's a whole myriad of recipes that can validate why your life is the way it is. But guess what? I want to tell you this in all certainty today from the Most High, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Guess what? I got some news for you, and it can be good or it can be bad depending on how you take it. Until you change, nothing's going to change. You ain't going nowhere. You're going to remain where you are until you get it. I had a dream that I'm going to share with you. I was on a fishing boat. And I just woke up. And on this boat, nobody was on there. No captain, nobody fishing, no fishing poles. The boat was just empty. Little raggedy ass boat. And I was in the middle of nowhere. I couldn't see land in any direction. I didn't feel fear in the dream, but I knew I should have. I'm not no sea captain. I'm not nautically inclined to navigate on the water. Land is one thing. Water's a totally different animal. You could be out there for years and never find anything. You'll starve to death before you find land. You have to be seaworthy in order to do that. I didn't feel any fear or any danger, and why I don't know, because it should have scared the shit out of me. And I said, what does this mean? I looked up at the sky. I didn't even see a damn bird. I didn't see nothing. I walked to the edge and the boat was just rocking. And I said, damn, man. I sat there for a while and then I woke up. And I've been pondering that dream, man, for a minute now. And it didn't come to me what the meaning of this dream or the interpretation thereof was. But this lesson brought it out. You know what the interpretation of the dream is? Rod of iron? You the problem. Look around. There's nobody else to blame. You in the middle of nowhere. And it's the only way I can show you. Stop looking to blame everybody else for your problems. Couldn't blame it on the birds in the sky, the fish in the ocean. Couldn't blame it on the sea captain for getting me out there, leaving me stranded. Couldn't blame it on anybody on the boat fishing. It's you. You are the problem. Now, fix it. Fix it. And I challenge you, take a look at your life. Take a good look. And if you're honest, if you have the fortitude and the bravery to accept your failures and the things that you've done and the choices that you made, now the Father can begin to build you and to construct you so that you can reflect and exhibit the excellency that He designed you for. But nothing's going to change until you take a good look and realize that what's going on in your life is your fault. That's it, family. That's all I got for you right now. I want to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Bashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. All praises due. This is a hard lesson for a hard people. But we're called to be better. We're called to set the standard. When you know better, you do better. And just like our master, learn obedience to the things that you suffer. Learn from it. Love y'all, Rod of Iron. It was a pleasure for me to sit with you today. And you know what's next, right? Quickly prepare for the next lesson coming your way soon. From your brother, Matthias Ben Yasharallah, and I approve this message. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, Bashem Akakadash. All praises due, peace and salutations to the elect. Until our next sit down and our next breakdown, this is your brother, signing off. Shalom.